Hi everybody, I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. Tonight we're going to be featuring an Easter stencil from Dixie Belle. You can see it on their website, and I'm going to feature that today. I have this I have this vintage tray that I thought it would be fun to do a little project with you. So tonight we're going to put a transfer on there, give it a nice little Easter vibe. So hopefully that's something you're interested in. And we're gonna have fun tonight. But yeah, say hi if you're watching. If you're watching a replay, let me know as well. It's always nice to know who's dropping in. My feature transfer Dixie Belle product it's the Happy Easter transfer. It comes with two little parts. I've done a little trimming on this bunny one just so that it would fit my design. So pretty simple, but we need to build up the paint before we're even ready to use these. So stay tuned for that. I'll put those off to the side because we have to get there. This is the picture of it saved real fast, because if you ever paint over somebody else's art, it's gonna have raised. So I painted it, I sanded it lightly so it had no more texture of paint. And then I did 2 coats of bonding boss. This is after 1 coat. So pretty straightforward. You can still see through a little bit, you can figure out. But just follow the instructions on the bonding boss, which is pretty much paint, let dry at least 4 hours, paint again, and let it go 24 hours before you paint it, and we're there. Nowadays you can go to Pinterest and search what people have done, so I asked AI to help me out a little bit. So I put in some search terms, and this one was like Easter or wood tray with Easter colors, and anyways, it made a little nice Easter egg scene. And it was kind of cool to see what it did with the wood box. Not that I'm using any of these as far as like the picture or anything, but I also told it to put Happy Easter on it just to see what it did, and that's why some of those things look kind of, you can see Happy Easter on there. But yeah, that was kind of cool just to get some, I was really looking for color inspiration too, so that's kind of cool. Here's another one that I did. So this is the other picture. Again, you can kind of see the colors happening. But then I finally fine-tuned my words, and I told it to do reds, teals, and blues. And so the last 2 are kind of my color inspiration. Again, these are just AI things that I typed in for it to give me a visual. And I like the distressed look. I kind of like the stripe idea, but I think I'm gonna go with reds, then probably, and the colors I have are Peony, Pure Ocean, and the Gulf. And I'm going to go through those colors pretty much light to dark, and there we go. Those are the 3 colors. Some distressing. I think it needs to look old and worn. We might do some, I'm gonna say waxing, some shading on it, but that's the fun of tonight. We're just gonna develop it together. I hope that you'll enjoy that concept of working on it. One of the things that I don't want to stress here, or I want to not worry too much about, is I want to just get color on there, but I don't want to totally fill it in, because we really just need to, because I'm going to layer this. So feel free to use, I would call it almost more of a dry brush technique, where you're just putting a little bit of paint and just don't worry about filling it all in. That white bonding boss may peek through, and that's perfectly fine. So we'll let this Peony be our base color. I want this to peek through the overall aesthetic. I will eventually, you can see I did paint the back, but I don't know if I'm going to worry about that tonight, just because or during this live, I don't want to have to worry about wet paint on the top and the bottom. So I'll come back later on after the top is dry, and we will do that. So notice how I'm not reloading a lot of paint on my brush, just hitting it really quick. Not having a lot of paint will also help it dry quicker. I'm using currently Dixie Belle's oval flat medium. You could obviously use other brushes, but this gives me a reasonable amount of space without having to do too many brush strokes. So the next one we're going to use is Pure Ocean. So we're going to go in now with Pure Ocean, same technique, And the nice thing about the, this was, my dog chewed up the end, so I had to sand off the end, in case you're wondering why it looks weird. But the nice thing about the flat medium is that it does fit within the container, the 8-ounce container. Okay, so same technique. We're going to just, we want peony to show through. So maybe in some areas we might not even go all the way across. I didn't sand well enough. You can see that oval from the original design. That's all right. I'm not really trying to make fine art here. This is a craft project, DIY. So that's all right. I think by the time I put the stencil on there, it really won't be an issue. But if you're really trying to be perfect, give it a better sand than I did. Love this combination, it's so cool. And maybe after we're done, we can go back and look at the original and see how we did to the AI. All right, just looking to see if I missed anything, and I don't think I did. We'll use another flat medium. Get some paint on that brush. So notice how I loaded it up. I'm not going to put that much paint down, but I'm going to just wipe a lot of that off. That kind of helps create that dry brush effect. So I want paint on there, but I don't want it to be overloaded. So I might hit the middle here more than the edges. I don't want to wipe out all my color I have everywhere. So sometimes we would call that more or less just a dusting. So like right here, put more on, and then out here, just kind of a light amount. I've done this technique many times. I'm not sure if I have a name for it. Dry brush probably would be my first go-to. And it works on home decor, furniture. Furniture is a little harder because it's a bigger canvas. So you can see right there how that's coming together. You're just trying to mute things down. This color is doing a good job of that. All right, so we have this one more side. I'm going to turn around here so you. All right, so that's 3 colors of paint: Peony, Pure Ocean, and the Gulf. Without those 3 colors, we really would not have this overall look. So I think that turned out really well. Okay, let's pull out the stencil again. This is the Happy Easter stencil. You can see that on Dixie Belle's website. I thought about not using the bunny ears here. But what I did was I cut this bunny shape. It was rectangle, but I wanted it to fit in kind of an angle here. Let me bring you guys a little closer. Hopefully that helps. So I wanted to kind of do something like that. So maybe what we'll do is let's tape off the bunny ears. And that almost creates my sticky for putting it down. So it'll be something like that. I just want the bunny to be jumping over the words, and I think that's cute. If the tray was any bigger, I thought about doing like mirrored bunnies, but there's not enough room to do that. Now, one of the favorite brushes I have that I like to use is Dixie Belle's rounds. Is it round small? Yeah, round small. It's got almost a flat tip stenciling. If you wanted to, you could almost even like hold it tighter so it's nice and compact, but I want a little bit of that texture. And so I think we are going to use some pink champagne, and I think I'm also going to use some pink champagne to add a little bit more highlight to the overall piece, if I remember that. So let me get that out. Haven't opened it in a while. All right, so let's move the bunny out of the way for now. I don't always, you can put some light spray mount on these stencils to keep them down. I don't normally do that, but I'm just going to use a little bit of paint and then also use my hand to hold it down. One of the things you might want to do is get a little board or paper off to the side and just kind of spread that paint around a little bit so it's not so heavy when you start. All right, so we're just going to pounce this into it, okay? Let me just work a little closer to y'all. There are some parts in the type that will probably need to be filled in, but I'm not sure that that'll even be that scene. So I'm going to keep this board off to the side. You can brush, but remember when you brush, you're basically scraping paint underneath the stencil. So this is why pouncing is a good idea. You can also use a foam sponge, something like that would work. And right here, I'm getting close to the edge. This is where you could tape off so you don't get close to the edge. This is a fun project. Kind of makes you happy doing something festive for the holidays. Can we use festive for Easter? Is that okay? Or do we only use festive for Christmas? All right, I'm gonna put a little tape on this. I feel like I'm just gonna put a halo outside of my stencil. Need a little bit more wiggle room. There we go. I don't want it to be fully covered, so I think that's enough for now. Let's pull this off. Ta-da! Something that'll work. So right here, let me show you. So right here, you can see how the type's not filled in. So I think this brush is still too large. Okay. We're going to use just a little touch of paint, and I'm going to fill this S in just with some dabs so nobody can tell that the stencil had to leave that open. That's cool. So just a little dab. Just a little dab will do ya. We're not being perfect here. So you see how I'm filling in those, I don't know if it'll even pick up, but I'm filling in those these are called counters, the negative space in the type. And the stencil really you can't leave that open. Okay, here's one right here. And I'm just pretending like there's no touching. And so since this is cursive type, you would normally fill all that in. I don't think the E is supposed to be touching, so I'll leave that open, but I think I got everything else. Put a little bit more dabs there. Okay, so that's looking great. Now we're going to come back with the bunny. Put that brush to the side. Remember, I cut this stencil. It was rectangle, but it wouldn't fit if I did that. And I'd like the bunny to be jumping over Easter. So I am going to put some tape towards the edges that are really close, so I can be a little bit more free on my dabbing of the stencil brush. But that's the main reason I'm putting this down, and also to hold it down. It doesn't hurt. I think that's good enough. And we're going to go back to the same color using my little pouncing. All right, I think that's enough. We'll take a look at it. Obviously, we can always stick it back down if we want to do more. So cute. What do y'all think? There she is. Oh, cool. I'm glad I took the ears off. They didn't really make sense since I had a bunny rabbit there anyway. All right, all I'm doing right now is just giving it, one, some horizontal lines to match the paint, and two, just to knock down the shine a little bit. Shine is such the wrong word. Newness, I want it to be a little bit more rustic and not so new looking. So some of the paint's gonna come through. It's gonna feel more authentic that way. All right, so we'll just wipe that off a little bit. Wouldn't do too much. So you can see now that some of the stencil has lines and it looks more worn. I think that's better. The other thing I mentioned we can do is I'm going to take another flat small and just again dab into the paint. I'm going to go in there and I think I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the edges. I'm just dragging it sideways. I think that white, actually pink champagne, gives it a little bit of a fresher touch, and which seems very appropriate for this holiday. So it's going to look white only because everything else is dark, but just I like that look. Ah, so sorry I keep getting off camera. You see how that's working out? So we'll just add it in a few spots. Almost just a dusting, just a highlight. Put some on the corners. Almost like a faux distressing. I'm not putting any right now on the actual flat part. I want this to illustrate almost like the color's worn off too white, almost like back to. And I'm not really going back for more, so hit those edges. Much paint on this brush. Touch it real quick, just a touch. This is what I would call dry brushing. My brush is dry, not much paint on there. Now that I haven't really gone back to the paint again, let's kind of go back and dust. I'm not sure I'm putting much down, but I'm putting some down that's giving it just a little bit of a, I'm not even sure what the word is. And so we're going to use Stormy Seas. Right now it's nice and fresh and clean, so you do this if you think you need it. I just think it needs a little bit more of an authentic kind of aged feel. So Stormy Seas is like a dark teal with black in it. Got some corners here. And maybe for now we'll just do the corner. Notice I'm misting. I think I need a smaller brush than what I'm trying to do. I'm going to use a 1-inch, Dixie Belle's 1-inch artist brush. I just feel like it can get in there a little bit better. So you can see that. I'd be curious, since I do this enough, if any of my followers and watchers have tried this. So there's the corner there. I think it's working. So let's keep going with it. Go all the way around. So this is one of Dixie Belle's artist brushes too. And I'm just gonna put a little bit all the way down the, almost like over time, they just didn't get this thing cleaned enough. So it just keeps getting dirtier. And we'll just keep going all the way around. Use as little or as much as you want. And we're going to use the 1-inch brush to be our blend, basically our shading, vignetting. One of these days I'll find the perfect word. You're just blending, shading, softening those edges. Removing brush strokes, feathering it out. Keep a wet rag handy because you might find you've had too much paint. And you can use a wet rag or a damp rag to erase too much paint, too much shading. So working great. In fact, I'm going to get my rag out. I don't know what I did right there. Somehow or another I got too much paint on the side. Kind of weird. All right, I hope that concept makes sense. If not, you can definitely look at my YouTube account under the playlist of shading, and I've done this a lot. So you see how that just gives it a little bit more of a moody look. To give you an example, let's do it on the side too. Brush. Keep going over to the side and disappearing on you. So you see how I just did the corner? That just adds a little bit of depth right there. Knock out some of that white in there. I'm not putting it on the whole piece, just where I think dirt might have built up over time. Once you mist it, I usually don't go back and mist again unless I'm trying to add some water dots, kind of creating some texture, which is something you can do. All right, so yeah, just come back and notice I'm discharging my brush. Just look for anything else you need to fan out. Sometimes I get a little heavy with this, and you might do a test before you do your whole piece just to see if you like it, because it might dry darker and you wish you had done another color. So that little bit of aging just kind of brings it all together, in my opinion. I love how it turned out. Now we have this, so what fun. Great stencil, it's just nice and the right size for this project. All right, I think I'm done here, you guys. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you later.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.